This is my 15 acres I have in Idaho. Um, but right now the object is to load my rig up with fence posts. And you can see this apparatus I made on the other Honda, the Pioneer, and it was totally poorly engineered. While I'm talking about this, I should be loading posts. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, you can see that this thing's 9 feet tall, and I have to do that because there's a very heavy 60-pound post hammer that I have to deal with. The first thing I have out here is it's just a what do you call it, a drop so that I can see where my hammer's going to be. And that's how I figure out where the post needs to go. That's how I line it up. The hammer is actually here. Oh, it's a heavy son of a gun. And really is heavy. Now you can imagine, I'm going to put the drop line back. This first half of fence I want to put in is actually only a quarter mile. It's one side of a 40-acre square. And you can imagine lifting this above your head, way above your head, like it has to go above the 6.5-foot post. So lifting that up, even on a stool, 130 times, really quite a daunting task. I don't know if the thing's made for 2 people or not. I really don't know. But anyway, I rigged up this, and the first time I built it, it was way too heavy. So I take it clear to the top, and then I can put in a 6.5 or a 6-foot post on the ground wherever I'm supposed to put it in. I made this remote control. Actually, I didn't make it. I just added it to a winch I had. It was an extra winch I had. And I added the remote control. It makes it kind of nice, although the remote control that comes with the winch probably would have worked, but I use the winch for other things, and I can get away from cables that might break or something like that, or if I'm putting in, uh, snatch blocks and that sort of stuff, then I can use the remote, and it's uh, a lot better for what I'm doing. But anyway, right now, what I want to do is put in some posts. They come 5 at a time. Well, but I'm not going to put in 5 at a time. I'm just not strong enough to be doing that. But I put these in, and you note that I'm putting them in on the right-hand side, and that's to offset the weight of the hammer when I'm going down, when I'm moving from one spot to the other. because I am on hillsides and rough, rocky terrain, and I run over rotten logs and things of that nature. So I do it just for safety. Um, but I'll put a few of these in. Probably about as many as I figure I'll need for this morning. That'll keep me busy until I'm tired. So let's go take a look around the place. Behind the Quonset hut, you'll see my little F-150. There it is, all covered up. I store it here during the summer. It's the rig we pull behind the RV, so I need to have storage for it. Now, if we swing around and you're looking at my property here, it's actually very nice. Those tombstones there are my great granddad and grandmother. They spelled our name wrong, and my younger brother and I, we corrected it several years ago, maybe 15. And so I brought the tombstones up here. You may have heard right now, I'm kind of out of breath. My right diaphragm is paralyzed. So, and we're at 4,700 feet up here. So it's really difficult for me to breathe. And to make it worse, we have a lot of Canadian smoke blowing in from Alberta. And it's making it hazy and a little difficult. That's our cabin. That's my other pickup. It's actually my summertime office. The back seat is usually full of so much junk that no one could sit back there, but it's important junk. It's stuff that I use all the time. Drills, drill bits, snatch blocks, rope, a lot of stuff. And this over here that you see is the outhouse. And I'll take a look at the inside of the outhouse in a minute here. It's actually a pretty good outhouse. I built it specifically with the ladies in mind. And this right here is I guess I should say, my solar panels. They have worked out magnificently. I've got 4 of them over there. I'm charging batteries with 200 amp hours of power. They're lithium iron batteries, and so they're lightweight. I can actually handle them, and they provide a lot of power. So let's take a look at the cabin. There's what I drug out of my office this morning, stuff I didn't need, so I drug it out. It's kind of dark in the cabin right now because, well, it doesn't look dark on the video though, does it? But I keep the lights off. I try to conserve my batteries when I can. It's nice. We have a stove for winter. It's actually an old trash burner. And I've hooked up a fan right there that operates on and off based on temperature. And as soon as the smokestack reaches a certain temperature, and I can't recall what it is right now, the fan will automatically come on. And then we don't have to worry about it, particularly when we're going to bed, when the fan gets, or when the fire rather dies down, then the fan will kick off, and so we don't have to worry about getting up and turning it off. Marcia built all this enclosure for the trash burner. Did a real good job. She laid this tile herself. The whole thing is very fire resistant, I would say. We've got cement board underneath the tile. We've got cement board behind this galvanized tin, roof tin, and it works out pretty well. Um, this is it's kind of a mess right now. Obviously, I'm here alone, and I shouldn't say obviously. Marcia's not here, um, but we have a futon, queen size futon, and I've just thrown a sleeping bag on there, and that's where I sleep. Um, we have this little refrigerator that we keep going all the time, even when we're not here. Nothing like being able to come up here and the first thing you get is a cold beer. But this countertop, Marcia did all of that. I don't know if it was intended to be a countertop or if it was a workshop table, but she bought it. It's solid maple, I believe. She put a lot of oil and linseed oil and stuff on it. This little microwave doesn't take too much power, so we can actually use it with our solar system. And that was the intent of it all along, was to be able to use it with our solar system. I have a hob here that we took out of the RV, the old fifth wheel. We never did use it in the fifth wheel. It was too much of a hassle. It was an outside hob, and it's just absolutely perfect for what we're using it for now. But there is a loft up there. It is a 12 by 12 loft. It's got a queen size bed up there, but we don't use it. Um, it's easier. It's easier to be down here than it is to go up there. It's difficult to change your clothes or anything up there. It looks high. It looks like there's lots of room up there, like, you know. And we did have them make the peak as high as they possibly could. They only had 2 or 3 inches to get it out of their shop when they built this structure. And by the way, this structure was bare. It was nothing. It had no, it just had the 2x4 walls and the outside sheathing. We did all of this other stuff. We did, well, at least we did everything up to the bottom of the roof. When it came to putting the roof in, it was just more than I could handle. And so I hired somebody for that, and he did an absolutely magnificent job of it. But anyway, we could go up to the top here in the loft if we wish, and sleep up there. I'm not sure if anybody has ever slept up there, but you could. It wouldn't be bad at all. And in fact, Marcia and I want to go up there and do that. You saw those steps come up and down. That's my second set of steps. My first set is out on my wood trailer. I have a whole trailer with wood. And the intention is, well, I'll show you the intention. We have another door to go out here. By the way, the cabin is 32 by 12. So it's about the size of an RV. But this is the only deck we have. It's very tiny. I think it's 6 foot by 12. And so what I want to do eventually here, it'll be my next project, is extend it out 12 feet. We'll take it out to about this tree right here. If I can get it out to that tree, we'll have about a 12 by 12. That's our campfire area. The white barrel you see there, the square container, is for my chipmunks. I have drilled holes in it for 1 1/4 inch pipe, poly pipe, and I put about 3 inches in there, and the grain will just kind of dribble out to its natural flow state, and and then the grain won't get wet. Actually, I use birdseed, but the chips love it, and they'll wipe that thing out in about a week. But it keeps the deer out of it. That was the main purpose, so the deer wouldn't get into it. And this is going down to the outhouse, and we'll just take a few steps down there. I made this rail about 5 years ago. I guess it was about 5. Now I made this outhouse strictly for the ladies. I wanted them to have a nice place, because outhouses are typically horrid. But this one isn't. And I'll show you one of the reasons as we go around the outside of the outhouse. But before we do that, let's take a look at the solar. That's my inverter up there. I had to put it outside for cooling purposes, but it's 2,000 watt, or I think it's peak 2,000 watt, continuous 1,700, something of that nature. And this is my MPPT, taking the solar energy out and converting it or storing it in the batteries. The batteries are in here. I made this box. It's all insulated, and they will stay charged all winter. It doesn't matter how cold it gets, because they have heating elements in them. So as long as I can get power into the MPPT, then the batteries will stay with the smiley face like they have there, and they'll do that all winter. Now we also have Wi-Fi up here, and that's one of the things that's running off the battery. This is a Verizon MiFi is what it is, and it's really interesting that we have Wi-Fi here. No place else on the property do we have Wi-Fi. It just doesn't exist. The trees are blocking it, the hills are blocking it, everything. Joe actually found this location when he was only about, I guess, 9 or maybe 10 years old. And there's an old stump. I don't know if we can see it from here or not. Yeah, we can. Right there above the seat, you can see that stump sticking up there. It's almost rotted away now, but when Joe found it, it was in very good condition. But anyway, Joe was ahead of us. We were walking up this hill through the forest, and Joe climbed up on the stump, and he said, "This is the place," and he was right. It's been a very good place to have our camp for several reasons. One is over here by this little pine tree. I don't know, this one right there, little tiny job. I found the original campfire ring that they had when they were looking for gold up here, and I'll show you about the gold issue later. But anyway, this is the outhouse. This is eventually going to be a shower, maybe. Right now it's storage for our chairs and things like that. So, folding chairs when company comes. So let's see what else we got here. I finally made some areas for campfire wood. I have lots and lots of campfire wood, as you can imagine, but I didn't want it on the ground. So if you see that white line through there on both of them, that's quartz. It's the remnants of making countertops. And I go down to the countertop people and and I get any of their remnants, and I can make this pad that won't rot. And that's where I store my wood. And I've got these quartz um, slabs all over the place. Anything that's going to rot has a quartz slab under it. This is Joe's stump again. I'll zoom in a little more. You can see Joe's stump. Now, something about Joe's stump that's kind of interesting, and he didn't know it at the time, neither did I. Oh, by the way, right here, that's the old campfire ring, and if I were to um, take the needles and stuff away, it's very obvious that this was a campfire ring. The rocks are all in a circle, and I suppose if I dug, I'd find ash. The rock, by the way, is quartz. All this rock is quartz. This rock here that acts as a table is a big rock. I moved it there with my little John Deere MC, and I moved it with a cable, and I was quite dumb. I didn't have anything on that cable, not a pair of pants, not a blanket. If that cable had broken, it probably would have come around, taken my head off. It was really a dumb thing to do. But I moved that about, I don't know, 50 or 60 feet so that I could use it there as a table. I planned on it as a table. Now this is one of their quarry sites, and the chipmunks just love it. But they were digging here, and this would be around 1890. They were digging here to see if there was any gold. And I guess they didn't find enough for to make it worthwhile for them. But I'm going to show you one more quarry site, and then we'll go. I'm going to stop this for right now. And there's my solar panels. You can see they're right behind the outhouse, so it wasn't too far a run to get the electricity into the outhouse. Now, there's another thing that makes the outhouse pretty good for the ladies, or anybody for that matter, that I have white PVC coming out of the, I guess you would say the pit. The pit is not open, it's a closed pit. And you can see the white PVC coming out of it. I'll get a little closer here if I don't trip on the brush. But you can see the white PVC coming out of the pit that is right, let me see, it's right here. And then you can see the PVC. But at this point where it turns, I made the PVC black because I wanted the sun to heat that up and cause a draw across the pit and take out any of the fumes. And then I put a one of those wind fans that also moves air through, and you can see it's operating right now. So now we're going to go on to the next quarry, and this was actually a larger one. And to give you some idea where we are, this is my wood pile that I had that I showed earlier. It's not very far from the cabin. This right here is the road that comes up to the cabin. And right there, that grove of trees is a larger quarry pit. This is the road coming up to the cabin. It's 1/2 mile from the county road. We can come up in all sorts of weather. A high school buddy of mine made this road for me, and he also put in a lot of rock. You know, it's just shot rock, it's not gravel. So it's a rough road, but because it's shot rock, it is passable year round as long as we can get through the snow berm down at the entrance of our road. But the county always likes to push a snow berm up, into the road. And sometimes it's 5 feet of snow, and that's very difficult for us. Okay, so here's the other quarry, and it's actually kind of neat. You can see the rocks already that they had dug out, and I assume they had taken samples and had it assayed. But it's a pretty deep pit. It's a pretty deep pit. This thing is, I'm gonna guess it's 5 feet deep, but the kids will have the grandkids, they'll have a lot of fun playing in it, I assume. I hope so. I want them to get some fun from up here, but they don't get out here very often, which is too bad. But anyway, there you have it. That's kind of the lay of the land. You see those two little trailers up there. They're going to be history. I'm going to make something from them. I don't know what, but I'm not going to leave them in the state they are. And then there's the good old Dodge. It's an 05. I have 260,000 miles on it. It's a diesel, and it's an absolutely wonderful truck. So there you have it. The next video will go down and put in some fence posts. I guess I should mention that, like the stairs I initially put in, I built the stairs with 2x6s. They were so heavy, I couldn't lift them up. I still have them. They'll probably end up on my deck. But I had to make them then out of 1x6s, which worked out a lot better. But I did the same darn thing with my hoist mount. I don't know what to call it, but here it is. And it's made out of standard 2x2, actually thin wall, only 1/8 inch wall. And I thought, gee, that'll be good. But it was so heavy. I couldn't even, I couldn't even lift it up and down. Now I may try it later because I have a better way of lifting it up and down now. But anyway, what I did was make the current one out of 1-inch material up here. This is all 1 inch. And it's supposed to slide down into this, which is, I suppose, 1 1/4. But it slid real well, and I had different positions I could put it in until the second post I was putting in, and it bent out of shape about 8 inches out of, and I put it back in within 3/8 of an inch, but it will never slide up and down in that thing again. And then on top of that, I put I guess it's 1 1/2. I think it's 1 1/2 angle iron. And that's what I had to do to brace it so that it could take the pressure of that heavy hammer. Not only that, but I had to put on a cable brace. The hammer is heavy. I cannot travel with it hanging up there like it is now. I will put it down, I'll put it in the back of the Honda, and that's the way I'll travel down to where I'm going to put the posts in today. So there you have it. I don't know if this will work or not. I'm going to try to do a video on our trip down there to the other side. We'll see if it works. I have stowed the hammer. It's in the back, so it's not swinging around any. There's no way I can allow it to do that. It would bend everything, even with my scabbed on patch. But I don't know if you can see the ruts. You can probably see them in the camera movement. But, whoa. Yeah, I almost lost the camera. But it's pretty rough going through here. And you'll see in a moment we have lots of rocks. Quartz. That's why they were looking for gold. And I have particular paths that I take, so I'm used to them. But even at that, I have to keep telling myself that I got 9.5 feet up and 4 feet out. So I have to be really careful where I'm going. I think I'll take this route down here today. There's different routes. I could have gone on the other side of the tree, but I didn't. It's not all that far down here. If I was going to guess in yards, I'd say maybe 100. Now, we are right in the, I guess it would be the southeast corner of my property. So most of my property lies behind me. There's the neighbor's property. I showed you that burn pit. Now you can see his spy camera on me. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I have a number of Wi-Fi security cameras. Now, I got to get out of here. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. If you look at, here's the last post I put in yesterday. Oh, actually, I don't think it is. There's one behind this. Yeah, one behind this tree that I put in. Okay, and then that log there, or little stick, sapling, that's 10 feet, and that's what I use to measure. Now, 10 feet is right up there in that tree, the root of that tree. And that's where I've got to try to back up and put my measuring device so that I'm spot on and I can put a post in there. Now, one thing about this hammer, it'll go through roots, it'll go through rocks. In fact, it'll break the rock and go through it. So it's a pretty nice hammer to have, although it's so bloody heavy. And that's why putting this fence line in is really difficult for me. But anyway, I'm going to see if I can back in. I'm not going to put that on the video. It takes too long. And then we'll pick it up. Well, I'm in position. It didn't take too long. You can see I had to cut out some branches there. I always carry some nippers with me. Actually, the worst of it is the brush because it throws off my my little scale. I know there's a name for that, and I can't think of it right now. But anyway, I'm in position. One thing I was going to mention, you see at the top that chain that is pulling down on the rope, and that's to always keep a little tension on the rope so that the winch works properly. So another innovation, I guess. So I think I've got the camera about right. I'm going to take the hammer out and lift it up, and I don't think I'll have any voice on this. You'll just have to watch it because I think the engine will drown things out. Although it's a very quiet, nice engine, always starts. I have the hammer out and ready to go. I believe I mentioned I'm cutting it short by a foot. I just didn't want to kill that tree that bad. And I think I probably would if I put it right down through the main roots. But the other thing I was going to mention is you're going to see a rope with a carabiner on the end, hanging down from the hammer. And that rope is to tell me how far to put the post in. Some of the posts go in real hard, some go in easier, and it's hard for me to judge just how far they are in. And I want all of them in 50 with 50 inches left on the top is what I'm going for. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start this thing and see if we can put a post in. It's not all that easy. Nothing about this fence is that easy. Choke it, probably have to prime it. First time it's being used today. And we'll see what happens here. It's actually a pretty good engine. Yeah, just about. Oh, come on. Maybe if I take the choke back off, it's probably choked. This doesn't need to be choked, I wouldn't think. Hear the hammer? So, go ahead and lift her up. Here's another useful tool. I'm on a downhill side here, so I can't look at, maybe I should get over here. I want to go on that other side so you can see the hammer working. But I kind of have to couldn't balance myself well enough on that stool. Okay. Now that I've got the post in a bit, I can give myself some more slack. And that's it. That was in. So, I already put the tripod down, but there's one other thing I should probably show you, and that's how it would have been done before the hammer. And that is this pipe that is rather heavy, 2 handles on it, and you sit there and lift it up and down and you beat it in. You beat it through the rocks, you beat it through the roots. It's very difficult to do it. When I put in the solar system, I use this hammer exclusively. I didn't use it. I had a hired farm kid from the prairie, and he was strong, even though he was only about 130 pounds, but he could really work that hammer, and it even exhausted him. We only put in, I guess it was 8 posts with that thing, but it was absolutely exhausting. And that's why I decided to get the hammer. The hammer goes through anything that I've encountered so far. Like I said, it'll break a rock and it'll go right through it. So it's worth it, I guess. It's, I don't know. It's going to take a long time. But I'll get them in. And then I'm going to hire the same kid, his name's Dylan. I'm going to hire him to put the fence on and actually connect the wire to the posts. I have one wire, or one post rather, that I've got to take out. I don't know if you can see down my line. They're fairly good. They're fairly straight. I'm trying. But you see the one that is actually a foot out of line. And I've got to do something about that. That means I have to pull the bloody damn thing, which is not going to be an easy task. However, I do have an instrument to go around and connect it and pull it. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm not going to worry about it today. I'm going to put in more posts.